Oh, not again, not again. Welcome to tropical Sweden and the Volvo EX90. And we are off. We're in Sweden doing a press drive, and I've been promised there is a little treat at the end of today's journey. Apparently it involves snow, but I honestly don't know any more than that. In the meantime, let's talk tech specs. And this EX90 is available with two drivetrain options. Now the entry-level version, if you can call it that, is 300 kilowatts. The performance version, however, which is this one, 380 kilowatts, and that's a lot of power for what is a fairly sensible looking family car. Both models though, they are all-wheel drive. Well, actually they're primarily front-wheel drive vehicles, but with the push of a button they transform into all-wheel drive vehicles, which is very useful in, say, I don't know, Sweden in the winter. As for battery capacity, well, this is going to impress you. Just like the New Zealand emergency number, this one has 111 kilowatt hours of capacity, and that gives it WLTP range of 600 kilometers on one charge. Now, in the real world, we all know that take about 15% off that WLTP range. That's going to give you a real world figure, but here in Sweden, well, when it's currently, what is it, minus 9 degrees Celsius, well, I think it's possibly going to be a little bit less. My estimation is probably more like 350, maybe 400 k's out of a charge. But then again, we don't get those temperatures in New Zealand. Performance though, well, again, this is going to impress you. This is a fairly unassuming looking vehicle from the outside, but even in the base model, the 0 to 100 time is 5.9 seconds. 5.9 seconds for a sensible family car. As for the performance model, well, it does 0 to 100 in 4.7 seconds. That's pretty staggering. That's almost hot hatch, but it's not a hatch. It's hot family car. On the subject of design, well, let's be honest, it's a Volvo, so, you know, it's kind of sensible. A bit like me, a bit dull, but it does have some interesting features. We'll get to that in a sec. First of all, let's talk to the thing on the front of the vehicle. Let's face it, this vehicle is going to spend most of its life in an urban environment, ferrying you, your husband, your wife, your kids to soccer practice, to movies, groceries, that sort of thing. So it stands to reason that it has a space for a taxi sign on the front. No, I'm kidding. It's not a taxi sign. That is where the LiDAR/LiDAR goes. And little personal note there, every time I say LiDAR, people on the internet say, no, it's actually pronounced LiDAR. And every time I say LiDAR, you all tell me, no, it's LiDAR. So could you please get together, internet, and decide what you want to call it? There is one other design cue that I just have to mention. It is wild. Now, I love it when car makers do things that just are a little bit weird, and Volvo has picked up the gauntlet in this instance. If you are as old as me, and you grew up in the 80s or 90s, you will have witnessed with your own eyes the demise of a beautiful piece of car design, the pop-up headlight, right? Pedestrian safety rules dictated that they were just unsafe and they were phased out. My heart still yearns for the pop-up headlight. Well, Volvo, they've done something special. The headlights on this car mechanically open when you turn on the headlights. So it's got normal LED daytime running lights, right? But as soon as you turn on the headlights, the internal mechanism separates it. It's like an eyelid opening and it reveals actual headlights. It's ironic that a company that is synonymous with safety has brought back a feature that was killed by safety. Now, if you're wondering that that's going to cause a problem when you want to, say, flash your high beam lights, no, it's actually really quick. I thought maybe it would take a little while to open, you know, like a Triumph TR7. All of those seem to have broken headlights, by the way. But no, this one's real quick. If you just flash the headlights, you lose maybe a third of a second while the mechanism opens, but generally it's real fast. Remember Knight Rider from the 80s? Yeah, of course, if you're my age, you do. Well, this has kind of a Knight Rider-esque display. When you unlock the car or fire it up, the headlights do this sort of Knight Rider thing. It's real cool. The door handles, they present themselves. It's all very stylish. It's a little bit understated, but that is Volvo. Let us move on to comfort though, because let's face it, this is where you're going to spend the time, right, on the inside. And the seats, they are very comfortable. They're made from Nordico, which is a largely recycled synthetic material. It's leather, you know, fake leather, which the entire world seems to love, but I just can't get my head around. I don't know why people like it. There is, however, a much more preferable option, at least in my worthless opinion, and that is wool. There is a wool interior option for the car seats, but I don't expect New Zealand to get that. Maybe they will. Volvo, if you're watching this, surprise me. Maybe offer the wool option in New Zealand, because let's face it, New Zealand, famed for wool. All Kiwis watching this, we've all had thoughts about sheep. Of course, it also has seated heats in both the driver and passenger seat, as well as a heated steering wheel, which is a real treat right now as it's absolutely below freezing. Of course, it also has a heat pump. And even though it is below freezing, I'm in a t-shirt right now, completely comfortable, cocooned from the Swedish winter. In terms of space though, well, it is cavernous. I am 5'10", or in Roman Catholic, 178 centimeters, and I have heaps of room above my head, lots of legroom. Same goes for people in the back seat. It is cavernous back there. And if that's not enough, don't worry, go into the boot. Look at all the space you've got back there. It's monstrous. You can lie the seats down flat as well. Basically, anything you want to do in this car, you have room for it, including a fartment. There is a fartment under the bonnet where you can store your potatoes in an emergency. But as we head into the countryside, I am going to turn on the adaptive cruise control and let it do the work. I'm going to increase that to a maximum speed of 100. Oh, there we go. All right, so it's going to do all the hard work for me, which means I can talk about gadgets. And this car, as you can see, has a 14.5-inch display right in front of me. It's split up into 3 sections. So you've got the top half there. That is, of course, your Google Maps, which, as we all know, Google Maps is the best map system. Then we've got down here more customizable widgets. Then, of course, we've got regularly used things, and down the bottom there is the climate control. Now, because this runs on Android Automotive, it's basically like a giant cell phone. So it connects to the Google Play Store and you can install your own apps on the car. Things like karaoke and Spotify and all that stuff gets loaded on through Google Play. I freaking love that. Another neat feature that probably won't surprise Tesla owners, when you use this Android Automotive system, of course it comes with Google Maps and it has your range remaining or range estimation when you get to your destination. That is useful. All cars should have that. Thank you, Volvo. This one also has a heads-up display, which I can see, but you can't. Take my word for it, it's nice and clean and sharp. But I've also got on this instrument cluster in front of me, not just my speed, but a replica of the Google Maps here. So I can change the display here. It'll always still have Google Maps on the display. I have seen overseas models that have a fireplace built into the display. So if it's a cold day, you can put on your virtual fireplace. As for the sound system, well, wait until you hear it. I won't even bother trying to demonstrate it through my microphone because it will sound abysmal. Take my word for it, it is crisp. Of course, I mentioned it has LiDAR. That is scanning along with the cameras built into this car to identify all the hazards. And it's a Volvo, right? You expect it to be safe, but this takes it to a whole new level. It's identifying cars hundreds of meters ahead. While I'm busy concentrating on vans going, well over the speed limit, this thing's busy concentrating on things right in front of me and things far ahead. It's like a security system keeping me alive, keeping your Volvo dent-free. Continuing on safety, it's got a neat little party trick, which you'd hope you'd never have to use, but it's got it built in. And that is, if by pure chance you leave your dog or kids in the car and get out, it will alert you. It will tell you that, hey, you've left something pretty important back there. But I will save the best gadget for last: bi-directional charging. That means that yes, you can use your solar panels on your roof to charge up your Volvo during the day, and then at night, if you have the right charger, it will take power out of this massive 111 kilowatt hour battery pack and charge your house. It will run your TVs, your heaters, your appliances, your heat pumps all through winter or summer every night, treating this like a massive battery bank. So you don't need to get a battery system with your solar system at home. But if you don't have solar panels and you want cheap, clean electricity, then here comes the plug. Sign up at Ecotricity. It is New Zealand's only certified climate positive electricity provider. That means all the electrons that they source are from only wind, hydro, solar, no dirty stuff, and it's Toitu certified, so you know it's good. Plus, it's really affordable. So sign up at ecotricity.co.nz. As for the driving experience, now that we're into the countryside, I'm doing 100 k's an hour and it is absolutely comfortable. There's a little bit of road noise, so I don't know how this is going to sound on New Zealand's coarse chip roads because, well, New Zealand's roads, they are built with seaweed and snot on a Friday afternoon. These are EU-funded roads. So, hey, dear Sweden, if you're watching this, could you just maybe adopt New Zealand for a few months? Just let us borrow some of those EU funds, get our roads all sorted, nice and smooth like these Swedish roads, please? I also want to mention the level 2 autonomous driving this car has, which is in operation right now. If you don't know what that is, basically it does all the braking, the steering and the accelerating for you, but you have to keep your hands on the wheel. You are still in control. It's still your responsibility to make sure this car avoids any obstacles. But this is the first car I've driven which is prepared for level 3 autonomous driving. That means that the car can do most of the driving and you sit there as a passenger for most of the time. That's pretty special. I've never seen that in real life. Actually, a fun little fact, New Zealand legislation technically allows level 3 autonomous driving. Because our legislation is so outdated, it's technically legal for self-driving cars in New Zealand. For now. I think that will change. It isn't a light car though, let's be honest. That's part of the reason why it's so beautifully comfortable. Not just these wonderful EU-funded roads, of course, but it's also very, very heavy. Like me after second breakfast, this thing weighs 2.8 tons. And that's about 150 kilos heavier than that Rolls-Royce hearse. That, what is it called? The Cunnalan? It's a horrible looking thing. This is heavier than that, which, in my mind at least, means maybe this ride's even better. But alas, it's not all puppies and rainbows, or valpa and booger, as they say in Swedish. There are some things I don't like about this car that I've discovered already. For example, I feel like Volvo's designers at some point have had a look at a Volkswagen ID4 and they've taken the door switches that control the front and rear window. So normally, if you want to drop the window, easy, right? Button, piece of cake. But if you want to drop the rear windows down, you have to take your eyes off the road. That's because it's got a combined switch here that operates both the front and the rear. So you have to actually select rear windows. See, I don't want to take my eyes off the road to put the windows down. Now, before anyone writes in and says, oh, Gavin, you're just saying nice things about this car because Volvo's paid for you to be here. No, I have a secret weapon against being influenced by car companies sending me on these nice trips. And that is that, well, I'm dead inside. You can't change how I feel if I don't feel anything. Follow me for more crappy life tips.
Gavin's crappy life tips.
Another potential complaint I have is that the overseas models I've seen often have a lot of piano black surfaces, which, I mean, we all know that they're going to look scratched like that CD you used as a coaster back in 1997. But this one, well, this example, this has a nice beige interior with no piano black. But I'm scared, as always in New Zealand, we tend to get the black interiors. I hope that the black interior option in New Zealand doesn't have piano black surfaces. That brings me to yet another complaint about this car. And these are all mostly visual complaints. For a country that has two primary colours in its flag, there are not a lot of colour options. They're all very dark, very grey. It's, well, you know, like Sweden in the winter. I do just have to mind my speed right now and not speed, because I've heard that Sweden issues fines and tickets based on your income. So if you happen to be a rich person and you get stopped by the police or go through a red light or do something stupid, you are in for a world of pain. But if you're like most Kiwis like me, then well, haven't got much to worry about. And we're off. Oh, crikey, this far out. Should behave myself. I can't afford a Swedish ticket. So far, the ride's been great. It's comfortable, it's spacious, it's warm, it's everything you could want, and it's a Volvo. A full review will be coming later, so of course do hit the like and the subscribe button. That little free button makes a world of difference. It helps these videos grow. But right now I'm going to head on over to the proving ground or whatever it's called. Stay tuned, we'll see you there. And there you have it. That's the guts of the Volvo EX90. Seems to be a very capable, very comfortable family car that's got 7 seats and all the options. But we are right now on a frozen lake. And we've been promised that we can take these on a lake. Now, I've never driven on a lake before, so I can already imagine the snowbank I'm about to hit. Let's find an instructor and take one for a blast.
That is the poof experience. We poofed. Oh, we poofed.
God. Yeah, I had to get the thing towed out. That was the first poof experience, as it's called. And now what I'm going to do is have another go. Now that I've got a little bit of a feel for the car and I've played around in the EX30 cross country, I want to see if I can make this thing dance a little bit. Now, I can't find a way to turn off the traction control. This is a very safe car, but I have tightened up the suspension. I've turned off as many assistant aids as possible, and we'll see if we can't have a little bit of fun without losing control. This is a much more sensible car, albeit a very high performance car. It's a high performance people mover. It's surreal. I haven't had this much fun driving a car in my life. When it feels like it's starting to lose control, it cuts the power right down. So it means that if you want to power your way out of it, and you're sideways, it's not going to let you. Oh, here comes the snowbank. No! Oh, no! It's fun to drive, but it's also a great family car, which just happens to have 7 seats as well. So this is, oh, and there's the snowbank. Can we avoid it? We avoided it, yes! And on that note, we'll see you back at the studio. Oh my God, I haven't had this much fun driving a car ever. Oh, not again, not again. Just edit that out. It's fine. Didn't happen.